All right, Mark Folmer here. We're on the Influencer series, joined this time by Leo Kelly.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Changing gears a little bit, we're talking risk. Leo from the UK, member of ASIS UK, active in ASIS Young Professionals.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is a fantastic initiative, and I just keep hearing good things. But let's talk about risk. I mean, I attended something recently. The stat that was given was that the UK is still at threat level from international terror at severe. Is that still the case in the UK?
That is what the government assesses the threat from terrorism to be. But I think terrorism is a lot about the perception of it. And I think in the West we have quite a heightened perception of it, but not always necessarily as high as it should be. But that's just the way the government decides. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about your day-to-day in terms of assessing risk and, maybe your approach and your thoughts in and around risk.
So I've come from sort of quite academic background, so I did my master's in risk at Durham University, and then it was quite a hard change to then go into the security industry, where the risks are much more present as opposed to being written down on an academic paper. So working at a CP&I location, which stands for the Centre of Protection of National Infrastructure in the UK for the international listeners, and sort of managing the day-to-day risk of terrorism and assessing it from government levels, as you mentioned, to sort of more day-to-day changes of how we can prevent that threat. That's quite a different game to reading about it and writing a dissertation on it, for example.
And do you find yourself working across, all different departments or teams within the organization? Is that regular, or is that you're kind of more off on your own?
Yeah, well, security is everybody's responsibility, but for it to be effective, we work closely with the communications department, we work with HR, so as to ensure that people who are coming to work at the France Security Institute are screened and they aren't a threat to the organisation.
Those that are in are allowed to be there.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Well, we work closely with the public engagement team and the events team to ensure the security of our events, both internally and externally, and the organisation. So yeah, we're a very open and dynamic team.
So being from an academic background, I'd like your take on data. I mean, where are you getting it? What's your approach to kind of gathering all this information to be able to make a decision and actually recommend something to the organisation?
So.
All that in 15 minutes or less.
So coming from the academic background, I've sort of distanced myself from that because it's a huge problem within the sort of risk sphere is that there's a massive discrepancy between what is written about and what is put into practice. So other more open source feeds like Facebook, Twitter, and other security consultancy businesses have provided us with sort of more useful intelligence and data for us to then communicate more broadly within the organisation.
Yeah.
So
I think you described it really well when you said that it's kind of taking it away from that academic on paper risk and really what's the day-to-day risk to a business, regardless of the business, right?
Yeah.
That's what it really comes down to. Switch gears a little bit. We started off, we were talking about ASIS UK, and then the young professional group within that. Very active in the UK. Maybe a comment about that? Yeah,
so something that has heightened our activity lately is the mentoring scheme, which has been introduced and has gained more currency over the last sort of year or so. And that's where older or more experienced professionals, I should say, take on a younger professional and they serve to try and guide them through the industry. And that's really useful for a lot of young professionals, but for me personally, with a couple of mentors I have in the industry, and it's been a great opportunity to develop and meet their contacts and learn more about.
And that's great because there's rarely a traditional one path. There's not a sort of one super highway that you can take to kind of accelerate that career.
Not at all. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for joining us
No worries.
for the Influencer series. Signing off, and again, excellent insight. This time on risk. Bridging the gap between academia and day-to-day professional, and then speaking of professionals, young professionals, and career advancement. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.